Morning, John.
Mr. I closed 2 deals in 1 week. I love it, buddy. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Morning, Lindsay. All right. Well, we got a nice group here. We'll just take a few minutes, let people keep coming on in. I know I had to leave and come back.
Yeah, we had a little bit of some reason, a hiccup getting people on, but I think that's fixed.
I thought Layla didn't like me or something.
Yeah.
Good morning, Peter. Peter Jacobson. Good morning. Scott, you've got your uniform on, the black and white.
Agentinc. Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, this winter uniform of a leather jacket's been going on for a little longer than I'd like. I'm ready for spring.
You know, the weather this year has been very interesting. Not complaining. It's good to have water.
Oh, did we need it in California? Oh, my goodness. Just fantastic.
Yeah. Good morning, Barry. All right. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get started. It's great to be with you. I prefer being with you in person. I love seeing most of you 2 weeks ago, and giving you that great announcement that we were finally delivering to you what we've been promising for so long, which is a stock and a cap, and these two things that make our platform competitive and help you ensure an equitable future for you and your family. So we're super excited. I want to let you know things are going very, very well with that announcement, and we should be landing the plane sometime around April 1st and putting all the little pieces together that are required. Our executive team is just doing a wonderful job buttoning everything together. And so thank you, Mike. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Layla. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you for your hard work in doing everything that's required right now. And, Scott and I we've just had one really great conversation after another. For the most part, there's tremendous enthusiasm for this being powered by a public company that's got 30 million bucks in the bank. And, one analogy I like to use is that, this has been our goal all along, and our vision for agentinc hasn't changed. We still want to dominate the world. We still want to do it the way we envisioned it by building a very, very valuable enterprise of nationwide mortgage, title, insurance, auction, media company, and allowing each and every one of you to benefit financially from the enterprise. But accelerate growing our body of agents with having a competitive platform that we now have within our grasp. And so we're super excited. The conversations we're having with many of you are full of enthusiasm and excitement. Already this week, we're onboarding, I think, 19 new agents this week, just from the enthusiasm around this announcement 2 weeks ago. So we believe that our growth will not only be quality, but our growth will accelerate this year well beyond what we've done the past couple of years. So we're excited to build equity for you and for us all to enjoy exercising the execution of the original vision that we had. I wanted to say, in some of these conversations, there's some confusion. Agentinc branding, it doesn't change. I mean, everything the public sees is Agentinc. It kind of brought me to an illustration that I like to use. How many of you guys know that Bentley is actually powered by Volkswagen? So in other words, Volkswagen owns Bentley. Same thing with Audi. I mean, most people think these brands stand alone. They're just a single brand, but you can go through some of the luxury brands of not only automotive, but many other things and realize that, LVMH is the one behind, dozens of luxury brands. And same thing in the auto industry. And why is that? Well, it's because of stronger banking, more efficiencies, distributions, all these kind of things. So we want you to look at the same way that we've really strengthened our position, taking any question out of our financial abilities out of the equation, become much stronger, and have unlimited runway to go out and build agentinc as a global brand. And so we're super excited. We want you to look at it that way, because that's an accurate way to look at it. Sean and I had some interesting conversations yesterday. We're working with this is a little bit shifting gears into the market. And by the way, guys, I always want to say this. I try not to predict the market because I'm always wrong. It seems like I'm just always wrong about predicting the market because there's so many variables out there. There's so many unknowns. Today, there's more things warring against each other than I've ever seen. But, we have so many things pulling the market down. We have unstable inflation that seems to continue rising. We have mortgage costs that are rising. And, the Fed came out and said, perhaps there's no immediate end to that. They're not pivoting yet. And so there's all this argument about with Wall Street, are stocks going to keep going up? Are they going to slide backwards because of Jerome Powell? And, what happened this week was really interesting. You've got some, the insecurity in our finances in the United States, starting with three banks being taken over by the Fed, actually had an opposite effect on some of our high-end properties. And so, we had what I call a migration of cash. And we saw this in the crash of 08 and 09, that when the stock market really started plunging and there was all this insecurity in the marketplace, there was a migration of large dollars. I think I sold 6 $30 million houses that year when the news was absolutely horrible. But then, it got quiet after that. So I think 2 or 3 years went by after that, not a single house sold for 30 million. But I see us in that kind of same scenario today, where if you're watching in Orange County, One Shore Ridge went into escrow. That was, I think, a $39 million listing. 38 Pelican Crest popped into escrow. That was a $20 million listing that, on any lesser of a day, you could argue that was worth 12 or 13. So there's 2 or 3 really big sales that we've saw happen this week. And I think it's because, and I know it's because, there's some insecurity with where your cash sits today, right? So Sean and I were working with a gentleman yesterday who I think a month ago might have sold his house for low teens. And all of a sudden he's seeing this stuff happen. And he says, gosh, if I sell this, what do I do with the cash? I don't even know about my own bank. I'm worried about my money. Maybe I just keep the money in real estate. It's a great hedge. And it's a safe haven, right? Real estate's a safe haven. Gold, silver, real estate is a safe haven when things get unstable or insecure. So I think what we can look out for over the next, I would say 60 days, is kind of that same scenario I witnessed in 2008, 2009, where that top 1% of 1% that has millions, tens of millions of dollars stacked around, they'll be sliding that into some trophy assets. And so I think you're going to see more of this here in the near term. And so you got to change your mindset a little bit and say, gosh, there's a lot of negative news out there, but it's always supply and demand, and real estate is viewed as a safe haven. And so even if real estate were to go down a little bit, at least my money's in a hard asset. I can touch it, feel it, use it, live in it, take a shower in it. So I think we've had some interesting things happen this week, and we all need to be aware of it and use that to say, hey, where do you want your cash? Do you want it in a bank right now, or you want it in real estate? And I think a lot of buyers today would say, boy, I'm really nervous. Let's put it in some real estate. Let's make a great investment today. And I think that's your pitch the next few weeks. Anyway, hey, Scott, you've got the real data there. You've got the general market overview. Tell us the granular data that's happening in the marketplace right now.
Well, thank you, John. Good morning, everybody. And yeah, it is interesting. And like John, I've learned not to try and predict the future. And the good news is we don't have to, you don't have to, I don't have to, because what we do is help people. Many of our clients' biggest financial decision they ever make, buying the home that they're going to love and live in, selling the home, transitioning. As Mike always says, we're in the transition business. And these transitions are going on apart from everything else. Fill in the blank, all the uncertainty. I mean, on any level, while all the uncertainty is going on, people are quietly making the transitions they need to make for their own personal lives. And thank God, I mean, that's our business. And regardless of world events, confidence in the bank, everything else, people need to live somewhere. And so here's the picture. As of end of last week, in Southern California, our inventory, and by the way, inventory in Southern California has dropped about 9% in a month. This time of year, that's not normal. This time of year, inventory is holding and starting to increase. People are putting their homes on the market. Inventory has gone down. We're under 20,000 homes for sale in all of Southern California. I mean, back in the day, we had well over 20,000 homes in Orange County for sale. So the story continues, and supply and demand tells the tale. Follow the numbers, always the case. We have much lower supply than what was expected, and instead of it rising, it's getting lower. And that's not only Southern California, that's a national trend. Inventories have trended down. That really wasn't predicted. That's part of the story of the struggle here with supply and demand. Now, on demand in Southern California, it's up from the first of the year. We're approaching upwards now of 12,000 escrows in Southern California. So do the math. That is approaching 24,000 transaction sides right now, real time in escrow in Southern California. There's our market. Apart from everybody else, we have approaching 24,000 transaction sides in Southern California represented by somebody. So now my personal game is, what percentage of those almost 24,000 am I a part of right now? Because that's the opportunity and that's the game. And it's interesting that the people out there, the majority of the agents representing those almost 24,000 transaction sides, are staying focused on the fact that they need to connect with the people that have a need to make a move. They're not feeling the weight of the world that I've got to be the answer man, the answer woman. I've got to tell everybody what's going on. I've got to know. Well, no, the people that are in escrow right now have kept their focus on what's going on in the people in my sphere of influence, who has a need, who can I meet on open house that actually has a need to buy or sell. Remember, half the people coming into your open house have a house to sell. It's not just buyers. They're staying in that place of not worrying about the world, and in their local market, finding people that have a need. It's a thing of beauty. They're doing it with their social media. They're acting as though they are the knowledge broker. They're putting, like we're talking about this morning, some of the facts and statistics out into the market, what's going on, telling their clientele the story. This is what's actually going on. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of things we don't know, but here's clarity around what we do know. My gosh, that is exactly what people need to hear. Exactly what they need to hear. So the agents in escrow today are staying focused on the fundamentals. They're meeting people. They're having conversations every day. Sphere of influence, open house, all basic. None of this is new. None of this is secret information. And I love that. I love the fact that it's right there for me. I don't have to realize that I don't have to think I'm missing out on all the people in escrow today are doing something totally different. They're not. And for you and me, that's good news. So stay in that place. And let's see. Oh, part of the supply and demand, with demand increasing, supply decreasing, our days on the market have continued to come down. Southern California market time. Remember, we started out the year well over 100 days. I think it was 108 days market time in Southern California, which is really balanced market. It's not crazy. It's gone down as of the end of last week, 54 days time on market for all of Southern California. So what does that mean to me? It helps me assure clients that this market is not going over a cliff. You don't have to worry that you're buying into a market and all of a sudden your home values are 20% less. No, supply and demand. Look at the numbers. The biggest hedge against decline in home price is no supply. 54 days average market time, Southern California. Break it down by county. LA, 59 days. Orange County, 44 days market time. Riverside, 60. San Bernardino, 66. And then you thought Orange County was low at 44 days. San Diego, 35-day market time. There's no inventory. And as John just said, if real estate now is even a more of a safe haven because of the uncertainty in the banking world, what if all this inventory, which is nothing, what if it all gets consumed in the next month or two because everyone's saying, I don't want my money in the bank, I want it in real estate? Interesting. Stay tuned, stay observed, but stay in a place that you're connecting with people that this information is relevant to them because they have a need. Boy, amazing how this dichotomy of the agents in business are staying focused, and 90-some% of the real estate community is worried, and they feel as though, well, all of their attention is going to trying to figure out what's going on. I don't care about what's going on as much as I care about connecting with somebody that I can help today. And I hope you feel the same way. So, there's our picture. And yes, real estate is a safe haven. I know Mike's going to talk a little bit about the reality of the banking world and has an experience that none of us have, having been a leader, throughout the savings and loan crisis, in the recession, before the Great Recession. And so, Mike, looking forward to hearing your perspective. But boy, we rise or fall on our own personal success in this market. The generalities don't mean a lot. You talk about, is it a recession? Is it a depression? Well, I guarantee you, if you're doing no business, whether the market's up or down, it's a depression for you because you're not doing any business. And, if you are doing business, you're not worried about figuring out the economics, on a macro global perspective or national perspective, because you're staying in a place that you're helping the folks. You're helping the people in your world that have a need. And guess what? If you don't find them and help them, what are the odds that they're going to work with somebody that cares about them as much as you do? What are the odds that they're going to work with somebody that's informed, that's a knowledge broker, that has the experience and perspective to guide them so that they can make the right decisions to accomplish their goal safely, by the way? A good real estate agent like you're worth your weight in gold. The average real estate agent out there, in all honesty, is grossly overpaid. I mean, that's kind of an indictment on our industry, but that's reality. That's why they need you. That's why they need us and our team's success and our collective knowledge working together to help them on every way, in every decision they make to accomplish their goal. And that's the reward we get over and above the commission when we close a deal. So I hope this helps bring you clarity as to, oh yeah, I've got to stay in a place where the folks are and helping those that have a need and not feeling the burden that I have to convince anybody of anything, because that's not our job. Hope that is helpful. Mike, excited to hear your thoughts on the crazy banking world, and let's move to that.
Well, thanks, Scott. Well, the banking business is probably one of the most fundamental businesses you will ever see, because banks get deposits and then they take those deposits and they create assets, and assets are in the form of loans. Assets are in the form of government securities. Assets are in the form of mortgage-backed securities backed by the government. Assets are in other types of forms. And whenever you invest in assets at a low interest rate environment and those interest rates go up, those assets, if you have to sell them, are worth less than you paid for them, period. It's that simple. And what happened with Silicon Valley Bank is that they took in tremendous amount of deposits. They bought a tremendous amount of assets at low interest rates, and as the interest rates went up, people started to want to get their money out and to get their it's called a liquidity crisis. And the way you solve a liquidity crisis is you have to sell the assets. But when you sell the assets at a loss, then that loss goes first against your reserve, but after it goes against your reserve, it goes against your capital. And once your capital becomes lower than the regulatory requirements, you get taken over. Okay. And that's exactly what happened to that particular bank. And so what we saw because of that is that what happens there is when the government steps in, either through the FDIC or through this new program that they've created to protect depositors, the stockholders lose everything because the corporation's taken over, it disappears. And so what you saw yesterday and even on Friday is you saw everybody who owns stock in a regional bank scared to death because they knew that their asset and its value would never be backstopped by the federal government. So you saw panic selling of securities. So you saw a Republic Bank who was trading at $180 a share not that long ago, yesterday in midday went down to $20 a share. By the end of the day, it had bounced up to about 38, and today it hit as high as 50. So the panic selling that we observed on Friday and yesterday, you're starting to see the opportunities that were created, and you're starting to see those stock prices of many of those regional banks who are not in trouble, do not have a liquidity crisis, do not have their net worth at risk. Those stock prices are starting to rise. So we may be through the worst of it in terms of the psychology that's involved, but it's going to leave a cautionary scar with many, many equity owners. And that cautionary scar is what John just described as they're looking for alternative investments. And real estate is a hard asset and an alternative investment. So we should see demand continue. We should see prices stay stable for the time being, but I caution you to the only stat that you want to look at on a daily or weekly basis is the unemployment rate, because as the unemployment rate rises, so will inventories, and at some point, if the inventory levels exceed demand, then there will be some downward pressure on pricing, but we don't see that right now. But the one thing to keep in mind, and this is the beauty of our business, is that we are in the facilitation business. We're in the transition business. Whether the price of a property is up or down, if somebody needs to sell, they need us, right? So it isn't that people only sell when the price is up. You know, historically, there's more people who have sold when the prices were down than they were when they're up. So our job is to navigate and strategize with whatever situation our clients are in. Our job is to help them through it. That's our job. And if we do that well, we'll continue to do a lot of business, if that makes any sense. But you know, just remember the banking business is more fundamental than most people will ever give it credit for. There's only two ways in the banking business that you really can increase demand for your assets, which are your loans, or that you lower your rates or you lower your standards, both of which ultimately, if you're a bank, will come back to haunt you. And so you've got to be very, very careful about how you approach the marketplace. Anyway, it's an interesting time for those of us who've been around it for a long time. But let me caution you and say that things are very, very, very different than they were in the S&L crisis. In the S&L crisis, you had a law that was signed by Bill Clinton in August of 1989 called FIREA, Financial Institution Recovery and Reform Act. And that increased all the capital that each of the institutions was required. And that meant that the institutions either had to sell assets or raise capital quickly, or they were taken over. We do not have that situation today. The situation that we had in the Great Recession of 2007, 2008 was that you had 30% of all loans made were fraud loans. The people who got them couldn't repay them. The music always stops in that. And when the music stops, the market is flooded, and I mean flooded with inventory. So we saw the perfect storm of the highest inventory levels that we've seen in our history, coupled with the lowest demand levels that we've seen in 2 decades. You put those two things together, and you're going to have the crisis that we had. And so neither one of those two issues exists today. So I just want to let you know that what we experienced in the past had some fundamental challenges and some fundamental causes that we don't see today. So just rest assured, just do your job, talk to people. People have needs every day, and we're there to help them through it. So good luck.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
You know, another dynamic of the banking issues right now could be interest rates, downward pressure on interest rates, which will only enhance the real estate desirability. So stay tuned.
Oh yeah. Powell's under a lot of pressure not to raise rates so rapidly now, and so I think they're going to they're not going to stop it, but they're going to slow it down a little bit, Scott. And that's going to be good for interest rates. I don't know how long it's going to take for inflation to get under control, but it will be good for interest rates.
Speaking of interest rates, Leila, do we have Patty or Dylan with us today?
Actually, they were at the beginning, but they had an appointment that they had to attend to.
Great.
I did talk to Patty and Dylan into the day yesterday, and rates had come down to a little below 7, which was a nice 0.25% drop. So stay tuned. We'll make sure Agent Mortgage and Patty and Dylan will keep everybody up to date on their rates, but could be another benefit of the banking dynamic going on. So.
Well, it is, and FHA just recently reduced their mortgage insurance premium on their loans, their high leverage loans. I think they reduced it from 0.53 or 0.56 to like 0.32 or something like that. So just the mortgage insurance cost at FHA was reduced here in the last week. So that's another really positive benefit for the consumer.
Yeah, and in the challenged lending market that we have, my gosh, I look back and I don't think I appreciated enough my go-to lending person or entity at the time, that in the chaos of a declining market in a recession, they delivered every time for my client, every time. And for a lot of us, that deal closing is pretty darn critical. I need this deal to close. I need to pay my mortgage. And I look back, and over a span of a handful of years, not once did my lender let me down because they didn't deliver to the promise they made to my client. And oh my gosh, that's everything. And so I've worked with Dylan and Patty long enough now to realize that they're filling that need. They're professional enough that they're up on everything going on in the industry daily, all the products that are available. They're talking to our clients so professionally. And by the way, in that conversation, they're talking about how great you are. When they hear who you're working with at agentinc, they'll make a point of saying, you know, that is a great agent. You're in really good hands. And then they make a commitment on what's available to that client, that buyer, and that buyer acts on that knowledge. And at the end, when they deliver, it's a win-win-win-win. The client, of course, is happy, gets the loan, closes the deal. You as the agent win and look like the hero because you referred your client to somebody that not only got them the best opportunity for a loan and delivered on time. It is just a win-win. So loving it and looking forward to everybody getting to know Patty and Dylan and benefiting the way I did back in the day from having somebody that just delivered. And hey, you know, the truth is, the lending industry is full of people that are making promises and not delivering. They're making those promises because they want to pull business. And so they'll intentionally say they can do something that they're not sure they're going to be able to do to get the client. And then look at the casualties at the end when they don't deliver. Yeah. So again, it's just part of what we do. It's a part of the way we do what we do. We're committed to doing it right. So we don't have victims at the end. And so a great piece of the puzzle as far as a team that can deliver on all fronts. So very thankful for Patty and Dylan.
Absolutely. Well said, Scott. Well, I'm going to get on the phone here pretty soon and start calling every seller I have that's got a product over $5-10 million and just tell them we've got a special circumstance. We've got a lot of nervous cash swirling around, needing a home. And if you failed to find your buyer a few months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, now's another opportunity to do it. And, you know, we've also got this tax that was voted on last year, and I believe it comes into effect in June, where sellers over 10 million have to pay, I think it's 5.5% transfer tax. So that's another reason to say, hey, use this little flurry of activity of nervous cash to get your luxury property sold right now and avoid having to pay another 5.5% tax in a few months. So anyway, I hope you guys use the same script. And I'd love to compare notes with you and see what fruit we can get out of this week's activity. Anybody else have anything to add?
I think we've covered it.
Oh, I
Layla,
do.
you've always got a few things.
I've got something I want to share.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good.
I see that smile on Mike's face every time I jump up. He's got a smile. So I'm really excited. This week, John, I don't know if you know this, but I'm working with Fred Wilson, and I'm sending out 100 Zoom invites to everybody in our area as far as agents to talk about how they can get a deal and how they can increase their business. And I think that this is super profound because you are right. There's a lot of uncertainty in this market, and agents don't know how to speak. And they need to get into speaking with them, not just having a conversation, but discovering what their true needs are. So I'm taking advantage of that. I spent an hour with Fred Wilson on the phone a few days ago, and we're ready to do our postings today. I got a media guy, social media guy, and we're going to invite 100 agents to be on this call because we are going to change lives.
You are changing lives, Carrie, as well as mine. You're a blessing to me, and I love hearing what you're doing. You energize me, and I just love your positive attitude.
Yeah, so my team is all here, and we're constantly on these calls because we feel like there's so much knowledge here that will help us go out and increase our business and speak to our clients. And we're still motivated regardless of what's going on out there. And I'm not going to let that dictate my motivation in our business, and they're learning that. So we wanted to share that with you just because I think that's huge. We have 93 agents that we're speaking to right now that I might need you guys on a call. We're meeting with them hopefully the next week. Scott's aware. And then also we're just taking it to the next level.
Well, that is awesome. Well, you know me, I'm always available, and Scott is too. So just get us on the line.
Hey,
I'm going to need you guys for that one.
We've all benefited from seeking out the people that are just masters in any given market and thriving, and just get with them. Just hear their story. Just the energy of a phone call or a cup of coffee changes everything. It is such a gift. Seek out those people that are just crushing it right now. And, it's that principle of association. We become like who we're hanging around. And what a gift. Fred actually called me last week. No reason. He goes, hey, I'm just checking in what's going on and spend a minute catching up. And I happened to say to him, okay, Fred, how's your business this year? And he said, we're now in the 9th week of the year, and I've done 9 deals. So I'm on my average of selling a house a week. And, those are the people that you want to be around, and they're all around you if you take a time. You know how I know they're all around you? Go back to the statistics that we started with. Almost 24,000 escrow sides right now in escrow. Those are the people that you go hang with, that you talk to, that you learn from. And they're not that rare. There's almost 24,000 of them. But guess what? If you're not connected with those people, then maybe you're connected to a couple 100,000 people that are depressed and miserable and just don't know where to turn. Please do not do that. The gift of one of the gifts that life is offering you and me today is that I can choose to connect with those people that are in the flow, that have clarity on what they're doing, that are loving the journey. And by the way, having fun on this journey is such a huge part of sustainability. We've got to be making this fun. So there we go. Your choice today. Who are you going to hang with? Who are you going to reach out to? And it'll have all the difference as the direction that you go. And I go, I'm preaching to myself because I need to do this today too. Is that anything else for the good of the order? Or are we good to go?
Hey, I would like you guys to watch me. I'll be on stage next week. It's called Beast Mode.
We'll tune in. Send us the link. We'll be there for sure.
I will. Thanks, guys.
I
Appreciate
love
it.
Beast Mode. Yeah.
Have
All
a great week.
We're good? It's a wrap. All right. Thank you, everybody. As always, we're available to continue the conversation anyway and helping any way we can.
Thank you.